Right, Assalamualaikum and good afternoon. So hari ni my plan is to finish ataupun to cover two topics, topic number 9 and topic number 10. Sebab kita ada tiga lagi topik sebenarnya. We have long term financing, the time value of money and also the capital budgeting. So untuk hari ni kita akan go through at least the two topics, the long term financing dengan time value of money, and we're gonna left with one more topic lah untuk seminar yang ke-7. So this is the 6th seminar. So seminar number 7, we're gonna focus on the capital budgeting. And obviously the seminar number 8, we're gonna focus on the final assessment. Right, so let's try to finish up the two topics. Dia agak tight lah in terms of the timing kalau nak cover both, but let's try lah. Okay, so in order to execute the two topics for today, akan ada a few things yang I have to sacrifice lah in terms of the details. Okay, the details of each section. So dalam long term financing, topic number 9 ni, it is pretty much the same as topic number 8 when we discuss about short term financing. Dalam short term financing, kita cover at least 4 different instruments. Kita ada trade credit. We have the short term bank loans. We have the revolving credit, and lastly we have the commercial paper. So for today, untuk long term financing, I will focus only on 3 types. Ada 3 produk saja yang kita akan tengok. Number 1 is bonds. Then we have preferred. And lastly would be the common stocks. Okay, so we have 3 different instruments with three different characteristics. And at the end of the day, we're going to try to find out how to calculate the cost for each and every single instrument yang ada ni lah. Okay, so but before we go into the details of the types, kita kena understand satu je. When we have this situation, when the company wants to expand ataupun they want to upgrade their facilities ataupun they want to buy new machineries ataupun whatever lah yang memerlukan modal yang besar, huge capital, when they have issues ataupun shortages of funds available, so salah satu cara dia adalah dengan meminjam lah, long term financing. So these are the 3 option yang selalunya kita tengok. Obviously sebenarnya dia ada banyak lebih daripada ni. Dia boleh pinjam jugalah dengan bank loans tu. Tapi these 3 options selalunya yang diguna pakai oleh company because of their the cost of fund tu tak terlalu besar. Okay, and then they can manage dia punya cost of funds tu sendirilah ataupun cost of financing tu. So that's why we just focus on 3, and each and every single option ni the characteristics are different like I said. Cuma cara kira dia mungkin berbeza jugalah from one to another. So this one I already explained. Let's go straight to option number 1, which is by issuing bonds. Right, so bond ni I simplify je konsep dia, di mana there are 2 parties. Okay, akan ada satu pihak is the issuer, satu pihak lagi is the holder, kita panggil ya. So issuer ni adalah company yang meminjam, the borrower, and the holder ni adalah the investor, the ones with money lah. So issuer ni yang tak ada duit, holder ni yang ada duit. Okay, so issuer needs to borrow from investors. So investor ni yang akan channel the funds. So holder ni akan bagi duit, funds kat sini. So in return, the issuer akan bayar interest plus capital. kepada investor after dia mature. So this transaction akan berlaku untuk tempoh yang agak lama lah, between 5 to 40 years. Okay, dia jangka masa yang panjang, nama pun long term financing kan, so it will be long term. And they gonna pay interest ni berbentuk tetap fix, dia tak berubah. So kalau dia 5%, dia 5% lah setiap tahun. Okay, and bila dia mature, the borrower akan bayar balik the initial principal tu, capital tu balik kepada investor after dia mature. So kalau katakanlah the bond will last for 10 years, so setiap tahun issuer akan bayar interest, and then in return dia akan bayar everything back the capital ni pada maturity. Kalau 10 tahun, maknanya tahun ke-10 lah baru dibayar balik the capital. Right? So that's why from definition point of view, bond ni adalah a long-term promissory note. Okay, long-term, like I said lah tadi 5 to 40 years. And it can be issued either by the government ataupun by corporates. So ni sekarang kebanyakan company ataupun kebanyakan participants dalam bonds market ni adalah company lah, corporates yang akan issue bond, yang become this issuer ni, yang peminjam ni, dan dia akan bayar balik lah untuk tempoh-tempoh yang tertentu. Right, so dalam bond ni obviously akan ada contract tu dipanggil sebagai indenture. So indenture ni is the contract that reflects the terms and conditions dalam perjanjian tu lah. And there gonna be a supervisory body. Okay, dia ada trustee dekat situ. So trustee ni akan jadi pemegang amanah, nama pun trustee kan, pemegang amanah. So dia akan memastikan the transaction between issuer and the borrower ni, ataupun issuer dengan holder ni akan berlaku mengikut kontrak, mengikut indenture. So kalaulah katakan borrower ni tak bayar kepada investor, so investor can report to the trustee, and trustee akan buat investigation and report to Securities Commission. Right, and Securities Commission boleh ambil tindakan lah, and worst case scenario dia boleh bawa the issuer tadi tu ke dalam mahkamah lah untuk suruh dibayar balik all the outstandings based on the transaction between the two parties ni tadi. Okay, so nak menunjukkan investment dalam bond ni selamat lah, sebab kalau yang company ataupun issuer ni lari ataupun bankrupt ataupun tak mampu nak bayar, so dia ada cara ataupun jalan untuk mendapatkan semula investment tu lah. So that's the purpose of trustee and also Securities Commission kat dalam case ni. So let's look at the characteristics. Untuk bond, we're going to assume each certificate tu nilai dia RM1,000. We're going to assume satu keping certificate nilai dia RM1,000. So ini meaning if the company, the issuer tadi needs RM2 million, okay, RM2 million, so 2 million divided by 1,000, okay, it equivalent to 2,000 units of bonds. So 2,000 keping bonds perlu dijual untuk mendapatkan 2 million. Sebab satu keping tu nilai dia RM1,000. So if we sell 2,000 units, then we're gonna get 2 million ringgit. Okay, and dalam certificate tu akan specify dua benda. Pertama, how much will be the coupon. Okay, and coupon ni selalunya dia akan express dalam percentage, katakanlah 5%. 5% coupon. So this 5% akan dibayar either annually ataupun semi-annually based on the par value. So remember, par value tadi kita assume RM1,000. So kalau 5% off RM1,000, meaning is 5% of 1,000, which is RM ringgit Malaysia, RM50. Okay, it will be RM 50. Okay, if it's 5% lah. And this 5% will be fixed as I mentioned. Coupon ni adalah tetap, tak berubah, 5%. Kalau dia 5% lah, this fixed. Yeah. Even though the value of the bond can fluctuates, harga dia boleh naik daripada 1,000, lebih daripada 1,000, it can go down below than 1,000. The coupon always be based on the par value. So kalau dia based on market price, so dia punya return akan berubah-ubah kan. But for our case, the return will always based on par value sebab par value dia tak berubah. Always 1,000. Cuma the market price can fluctuates. Okay, and satu lagi kegunaan par value ni is during maturity. So during maturity, the value that the company needs to make repayment would be the principal lah. So kalau dia pinjam 2 juta kat sini, so at maturity dia akan bayar balik 2 juta. Sebab 2 juta ni based on 1,000 ringgit par value kan, of the 2,000 units. So kalau lah 1,000 ni berubah naik jadi 1,200, so 1,200 darab 2,000 dah 2.4 juta kan contohnya lah. So it is not based on market price. So principal always based on the par value 1,000. So regardless of the price before maturity, bila sampai the maturity, the issuer akan bayar balik just the par value, which is 1,000 ringgit lah. Okay, and one of the characteristics of measurement dalam bond ni adalah dipanggil yield to maturity. So yield to maturity ni sebenarnya adalah satu form of measurement for the bondholders. So maknanya, ingat kita ada dua pihak ni. Kita ada borrower and kita ada investor. Alright. So untuk case sekarang ni, sebab kita cerita pasal financing and long term financing, kita tengok from this issuer's point of view. Okay, kita nak tengok from borrower point of view. Bila kita issue bond, berapa cost dia? Tapi jangan lupa on the other side of the story ataupun the other side of the coin, dia ada investor. Okay, investor. And this one mungkin you akan belajar later on lah bila you ambil paper investment nanti. Okay, kita akan tengok how much return that you're going to enjoy from the bonds investment. And both issuer and holder ni, kita boleh measure the yield to maturity. Okay, so that's why yield to maturity ni sebenarnya kegunaan bondholder ataupun investor ni tadi. Kita nak tengok, okay, berapa banyak dia akan enjoy the returns if they keep the investment sampai maturity. So that's why nama dia yield to maturity. But as issuer, we can use this measurement to identify what will be our cost. Okay, so kita akan guna YTM kejap lagi untuk kira. Right, and the rest nanti you baca lah. I dah explain tadi some of it lah, especially the bond maturity. Okay, there are two types of bonds. Kita ada secured. Secured ni maknanya with collateral. And unsecured ni is without collateral. Right, so apa perbezaannya? With collateral meaning dia akan cagarkan aset, okay, dalam dia issue the bond ni. Kalau without collateral meaning there's no asset involved. Okay, and this asset can be new asset ataupun the existing assets. Kalau new asset tu macam mana? Kalau contohnya company tu issue bond untuk katakanlah an airline company, airline company dia issue bond sebab dia nak beli kapal terbang yang baru. So the new new aeroplanes tu can be used untuk jadikan sebagai collateral. So meaning kalau company tu tak mampu nak bayar balik the interest plus together dengan principal, they have to sell the aeroplanes and settle all the debts lah dengan the investors. Okay. Tapi kalau dia unsecured, dia tak ada collateral. So meaning from risk point of view, secured ni lagi rendah risiko dia lah as compared to the unsecured. Sebab unsecured ni tak ada collateral, therefore risiko dia lagi tinggi. And because of the risk tu, the rate of interest charge pun berbeza lah. Selalunya secured ni, the rate would be lower as compared to the unsecured. Okay. Now, you boleh baca the details of it kat belakang ni. Now we go straight to the measurement, the cost untuk kedua-dua lah. This is the first one, sorry. The cost of debt. Okay. So the cost dalam case ni kita akan guna the symbol K. And the debt ni D lah. So KD ni adalah the cost of debt ataupun the cost of bond. Okay, sebab debt yang kita guna pakai sebenarnya dalam kes ni hanyalah bond tapi kita gunalah symbol KD, the cost of debts. And there are few things that we need to identify and need to consider before kita calculate the actual cost of debts. Okay, the first one is called the net proceed. Okay, kalau you ingat dalam topik sebelum ni in the short term financing, the concept of proceed ada bila kita nak calculate the usable fund. Okay, kalau ingat net proceed ni adalah usable fund. Amount ataupun fund yang boleh diguna pakai out of our issuance ni. Right? So kalau you ingat sebelum ni, masa kita buat short term financing, bila kita pinjam dengan bank, contohnya 100,000, bank kata, okay, 10% would be the compensatory balance. So daripada 100,000, 10%, which is 10,000, kena simpan dalam bank. So our net proceed hanyalah 100 tolak 10,000, which is 90,000. So the usable fund is 90,000. So untuk bond ni sama juga. Okay, kita tahu kita akan issue pada harga RM1,000. Katakanlah we sell it at RM1,000 at the par value. But untuk the issuance of bond ni, okay, we have to engage dengan banker. Okay, specifically the investment bank. And bila kita engage dengan investment bank, kita kena gunakan dia punya, services and not. Kita kena bayar the issuing cost. Okay, we have to pay them some percentage lah. So katakanlah it's 3%. Katakanlah cost of issuing dia 3%. So 3% of 1,000 is RM30 for one unit. So kalau issuing price dia sekeping RM1,000, so 3% daripada RM1,000 adalah RM30. So what's left? So kita punya proceed is 1,000 minus RM30, which is 970. So what does it mean by 970? 970 is the amount that we can enjoy and use out of 1,000 that we sell. So RM30 ni kita kena bagi dekat bank. Right? So we left with 970. So this 970 adalah kita punya proceed. Okay, so that's the implication lah that we have to consider when we calculate the actual cost. And satu lagi, for the cost of debt, since the payment of coupon ataupun interest tadi tu untuk bond ni adalah something yang tax deductible. Okay, kita boleh tolak tax kat situ. So therefore, in terms of the cost, we need to find the after tax punya cost. Okay, after tax punya cost. And because of that, ditunjuk kat sini lah the formula untuk find the after tax cost of debt. So to simplify, right, the process of finding the cost of debt ni, dia akan ada dua step. Step yang pertama, find the YTM, yield to maturity. And yield to maturity dah incorporate sekali dengan net proceeds. Step 2, we're going to find after tax cost of debt. And step 2 tu, yang inilah, yang ni, KD equals to KD darab 1 tolak T. So beza dia ni capital, ni K kecil kan. But basically, kenapa I letak KD ni? Sebab the way we need to find the cost of debt before, this is before tax ni, ada dua cara. There are two approaches. Okay, dia ada dua. Satu menggunakan discounted cash flow technique, satu lagi menggunakan YTM method. So that's why kat sini I letak tadi find YTM, sebab kita akan gunakan this method sahaja, because this method is much easier, bukan much easier sebenarnya, less complex. Okay, tapi downside dia a lot of formula lah, DCF ni kompleks sikit tak kira, tapi dia more accurate. Okay, complex in the sense that kalau you tak ada financial calculator contohnya, so the DCF ni proses dia panjang, dia melibatkan complex calculations, you have to do some trial and error process, you kena buat interpolation, so panjang lah proses dia. Okay, tapi kalau you ada financial calculator, it will be much easier to help you to find the DCF method ni. Okay, I will show you both sebenarnya, tapi untuk you guys, I recommend guna je lah YTM ni kalau tak ada financial calculator. But if you have financial calculator, like mine ada financial calculator ni, kita boleh je guna DCF tu, tak ada masalah. Tapi jangan guna DCF yang ada dalam ni lah, slide ni panjang sikit dia punya proses ni. So I will show you the simplified version. Right, so that's why the first method is actually to use YTM ataupun DCF, and then baru cari di after tax. Kalau ni YTM, kat sinilah YTM darab dengan 1 minus T. Okay, so maybe in terms of YTM, I tulis dulu formula dia. So YTM formula dia adalah coupon plus with the par value, so PV is par value, tolak dengan proceed, bahagi dengan N, then we divide everything ni dengan present value plus proceed, and then we divide by 2. So this is how we find based on YTM method, yield to maturity method. So kita kena cari, sebenarnya ada 1, 2, 3 je item. We need to know the coupon payment, how much is the proceed. So proceed, kalau ingat tadi proceed yang kat sini is the selling price ataupun the market price. Issue price ni kita ambil market price lah. Market price tolak dengan issuing cost, IC. Then we get the proceed, divide by N. N ni is the years to maturity, how many years left to maturity. And then we divide everything by par value. Again, par value ni memang fix 1000, plus proceed yang sama, and then divide by 2. Okay, and don't forget to darab 100 lah in order to get it in percentage. And this would be our step 1. Okay, step 1 is find the YTM. Ini tadi find YTM. So step 2 tadi, step 2, to find the KD, cost of debt is YTM, darab dengan 1 minus tax. Okay, so whatever answer from step number 1, we multiply dengan 1 minus the tax rate. So T ni tax rate lah, kalau dia 30%, so maknanya 1 tolak 30%. Then multiply dengan YTM. Right, so let's look at this example. So this company plans to issue 1 million ringgit. So this is the principal with the face value of 1,000. So this is our par value, 1,000. And coupon dia 12%. So coupon 12%. So coupon C is 12% multiplied dengan par value. So it's 120 ringgit. So the coupon is 120 ringgit. Okay, and the N is 10 years. So this is N, 10 years. Okay, due to high interest rate, it can be sold for 950 each. So this is the market price ataupun the selling price. 950, and dia ada issuance cost of 5%. Okay, so this 5% darab dengan 1000, so it become 50 ringgit. Right, so untuk issuance cost ni, be careful whether the 5% ni is based on the market price, based on the par value or the market price. So soalan akan specify lah. Untuk soalan ni, dia just kata issuance cost 5%, kita assume 5% ni dengan the par value lah, RM1,000. Tapi kalau soalan kata, okay, the issuance cost is 5% of the market price. So this 5% kena darab dengan 950 kalau dia based on market price lah. Okay, so untuk soalan ni sebab dia tak mention, kita assume it will be based on the par value. RM50 lah, ataupun 5% darab 1000. Okay, so first kita kena identify the proceed. Okay, so proceed dia based on the market price 950, and the issuance cost is RM50. So the proceed is RM900. Okay, so once we have this, kita dah boleh calculate the yield to maturity. Okay, so yield to maturity, kalau you ingat tadi formula dia, it's coupon plus par value, which is 1,000. Proceed, kita just kira tadi 900, bahagi dengan N. N is 10 tahun. Okay, so the rest, kita copy balik je lah. So coupon tadi is 120. Okay, so C coupon is 120 plus par value 1000 and the proceed adalah 900. Divide by N is 10 years. Then we divide everything by 1000 plus 900, and then we divide by 2. Okay, so you dah lay down macam ni. Kita calculate start from the bracket. Okay, 1000 minus 900, 100 divide by 10, and then plus 120. Okay, so the whole numerator ni dapat 130, and then you divide by these two average price. So 1000 dengan 900 ni bahagi 2, sebenarnya purata lah. 1000 plus 900 is 1009. 1009 divided by 2 is 950. Okay, so 130 divided by 950. Darab 100, then you're going to get 13.68%. So this is our cost before that, before tax at 13.68%. Okay, 13.68%. Right, so this is based on YTM method. But what if I use the DCF method, the discounted cash flow method? Okay, untuk DCF ni, cara yang mudah kalau you ada financial calculator. Okay, ada financial calculator, we're gonna use the compound function. So dia dalam financial calculator ni dia ada satu function dipanggil compound function. CMPD ni compound. So dalam CMPD ni ada 5 benda you gonna set. You need to set the N tu sama dengan N yang ni lah, which is the years to maturity. I percentage will be the interest. This kita akan solve kejap lagi sebab ni lah jawapan kita dalam bentuk percentage. And then dia ada present value, PV. Dia ada PMT. And then lastly dia ada FV. What F dekat sini FV. So ada 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Tapi daripada 5 ni, satu tu yang akan kita solve. So maknanya ada 4 items kita kena letak. Right? Similar information from the ones we wrote on the board kat sini ataupun on the screen ni. So N adalah 10 tahun. Kita letak je 10 tahun. The I kita akan solve. The present value is based on the proceeds. Okay, proceed kita 900. So dalam financial calculator ni akan ada satu amount yang kita akan letak negative amount. So negative tu menunjukkan duit keluar. So from this transaction, 900 ni adalah amount yang akan dibayar lah sebenarnya. So therefore we gonna put negative value dekat situ. Negative 900. Okay, and then the PMT is the annuity. So annuity ni adalah the coupon. Okay, so coupon kita adalah 120. And future value adalah value semasa mature. So value pada mature adalah RM1,000 sebab this 1,000 will be paid at maturity. 1,000. Okay, so when you tekan the solve button dekat sini, okay, after you key in all everything, your I percentage ataupun the rate adalah 13.91%. Okay, slightly different from our estimation based on YTM. Ni dapat 13.91, this one dapat 13.68. Okay, so mana satu lagi betul? Kalau ikut accuracy, like I said, DCF ni lagi accurate sebab dia menggunakan complex calculation. Tapi like I said, dari segi nature dia sebenarnya lagi susah nak calculate manually, but because of financial calculator, the calculation become simpler and kita terus dapat 13.91% lah. Okay, tapi kalau tak ada financial calculator, no worries, just use the YTM punya formula, then you're gonna get the 13.68% pun boleh kita guna pakai lah. And remember, this is just the first step. Okay, ingat step yang pertama is to find the YTM, ataupun kalau you nak guna financial calculator, you find the discounted cash flow, the DCF. Okay, so you're going to have two different rates, 13.68 dengan 13.91. Now, next kena cari what will be the cost of debt after tax. Okay, So nak cari after tax, kita kena ada tax rate. That's why untuk soalan ataupun step yang kedua, we need to know the tax rate lah. So that's why based on this example, soalan yang pertama disuruh cari proceed sebenarnya. Proceed tadi kita dah kira 950 minus 50 becomes 900. Okay, so this is our proceed kat sini tadi kita dah kira. So untuk cost of debt, the after tax at least, after tax, cost of debt, it will be 13.68 darab dengan 1 minus 0.4, so it become 8.21%. Okay, 8.21%. So this is our final answer, 8.21%. And if you use financial calculator, it will be 13.91% darab 1 minus 0.4. So it become 8.35%. Okay, again, ada slight difference between the two. So you can choose either one depending on which method you use. So dua-dua akan diterima sebagai jawapan lah. Okay. Cuma untuk financial calculator, you kena specify macam ni. You have to write the individual information. Untuk dia punya N berapa tahun, dia punya present value berapa, PMT dia berapa, future value dia berapa. Okay, and then solve it terus lah. What will be the rate before tax. Okay, so the final answer is either 8.21% or 8.35% depending on which model you use. Okay, so kat belakang ni ada lah dia punya answers. This one, bayangkan this is how you use it for DCF kalau tak ada financial calculator. So kena kira first step macam ni, then kena calculate the second values. So ada dua beza kat sini, 1000 dengan 89564 ni. Then kena buat interpolation, baru dapat 13.92. Kalau kita guna financial calculator tadi, kita dapat 13.91 kan. So bila dah dapat 13.92 tu, baru dia buat after tax. Then you get 8.35, which is the same answer lah. Okay, the same answer. Okay, alternatively, we just use the YTM method lah. The YTM method, kita dapat 13.68 tadi. Dan terus darab dengan 0.6, which is the difference between these two. And then our final answer is 8.21%. Okay, and that is for our bond punya calculation. Okay, so let's move on to the second instrument, which is preferred. So preferred, it is a hybrid instrument. Hybrid, kenapa hybrid? Sebab dia ada elemen yang sama dengan bond, dia ada sama elemen dengan common stocks. Okay, so dari segi risiko, always remember this sequence. Okay, dia start dengan bonds, and then number 2 preferred stocks, and then number 3 common stocks. So preferred stock ni akan berada di tengah-tengah dari segi risikonya lah. So bond yang paling rendah risiko, lowest. Common stock is the highest. Okay, this is risk based on risk. So this one intermediate lah, the middle. So that's why preferred stock is less risky than common, but much more risky than the bond. Okay, so you just ingat this sequence ni je lah. Right? So untuk preferred stocks, some characteristics, kalau bond, the par value is 1000. For common stock, for the preferred stock, the par value is 100. And the nature yang similar dengan bond is the fixed return nature. Bond tadi fix, dia punya coupon. So the percentage kita express compare dengan par value. So sama juga untuk common stock, untuk preferred stock. Cuma par value dia adalah RM100. So kalau ni 5% yang sama, it would be 5% darab 100 RM RM5 would be the dividend. Okay, dia tak bagi coupon atau interest, dia panggil dividend. Okay, so tak payah tengok the selling price ni, kita hanya fokus on the cost again. Kalau tadi kita ada KD, cost of debt. Untuk preferred, we use KPS, cost of preferred stocks. And formula dia adalah dividend bahagi dengan market price tolak flotation cost. That's it. Itu sahaja formula dia untuk preferred. So preferred ni tak se-complicated calculation of bond tadi. Okay, bond tadi siap ada steps. Pertama kena cari YTM, step kedua kena cari after tax cost kan. So untuk preferred stock, this is the only formula that we use. Okay, we need 3 information juga. We need the dividend, we need to know the market price, and then the flotation cost. And remember, market price ni bukan par value. Par value ni memang 100. Sama macam bond, the price can fluctuate, can be above 100, can be below 100 ringgit. Okay. Right. So contoh, company ni they wants to issue 1 million ringgit and the par value is 100. So this is the par value and the dividend is 10%. 10% dividend. So dividend dia is 10% of 100. So 10% of 100 is 10 ringgit lah. Okay, so D equals to 10% darab 100 ringgit, which is 10 ringgit. Okay, so that's the dividend. Market price 98. So this is the market price, 98 ringgit. And flotation cost dia 5%. Flotation cost 5% darab dengan 100. Okay, it's 5 ringgit. Okay, sama konsep macam tadi If they didn't mention about the flotation cost, kita akan assume the 5% ni darab dengan par value. Tapi kalau soalan tu kata the flotation cost is based on the market price, kita ambil lah 5% ni kena darab dengan RM98. Depending on question. So find the cost of preferred. Okay, the cost is KPS. I tulis balik, dividend divide by market price tolak flotation cost. Okay, so the dividend kita dah define, the D tadi is 10 ringgit. Market price dia 98 ringgit. Flotation cost dia 5 ringgit. Okay, darab 100 to convert in percentage. So 10 ringgit divided by 93 ringgit. So we get 10.75%. Okay, so that is the cost of preferred. So tadi cost of debt 8.35 ataupun 8.21. 35 ataupun 8.21 depending on which model you use. Untuk KPS, it's 10.75%. Semua persen lah So what does it mean? Based on the 2 options so far, walaupun sebenarnya 2 soalan ni tak ada kena-mengena tapi kita just put it for comparison purpose. We can see that the bond is much cheaper than the preferred kan. Preferred kena bayar 10.75%, but the debt ataupun the bond is just 8.21%. Okay, so as of now, the bond is more preferable lah sebab dia punya rate is lagi rendah as compared to the common stocks ataupun the preferred stocks. Okay, so this is the method for calculating the preferred stock. Preferred stock ni, the things yang mungkin akan confusekan kita adalah the flotation cost. Okay, sebab dividen ni straightforward je, dia bagi percentage, kita darab 100 terus dapat dividen. The market price, okay, remember market price bukan RM100 tak semestinya RM100. Market price can be discount RM98 or whichever lower than 100 ataupun dia premium, harga lebih daripada RM100. Okay, so the price fluctuates, can be more or can be less than RM100. Cuma flotation cost ni je lah yang akan confuse, sama ada based on par ataupun based on market price. So my suggestion, baca soalan betul-betul. The flotation cost tu based on what? Kalau dia tak mention, kita akan default go to par value 100. Tapi kalau dia dah specify kat situ 5% of market price ataupun 5% of selling price, then kena ambil the market price lah. Kalau you still guna RM100, maknanya salah. Okay, maknanya salah. Right? Now, kita move on to the last one. Common stocks. Okay, common stock is the highest risk among the rest sebab dia represent ownership. So, siapa yang beli ataupun invest in common stocks ni akan jadi owner of the company. And because of the owner of the company, you kena ambil risiko yang paling besar lah. And therefore, you kena receive your payment the very last. So, dari segi priority-nya, you akan menerima your payment the very last minute. Bukan last minute lah, last party yang you akan terima. So, bond akan terima dulu, and then preferred, and then baru common equity. So, untuk valuation dia ada dua. Okay, tak payah tengok zero ni. Kita tengok the constant growth model. Okay, constant growth model ataupun golden growth model. Sebab kalau dia tak bergerak ataupun dia tak grow, technically common stock akan sama macam preferred stock. Sebab preferred stock, the returns are fixed. Tapi untuk common stock, selalunya return dia tak sama. Return dia berubah-ubah. Okay, and untuk model ni kita assume dia berubah, tetapi berubah positively. Dia akan naik. That's why we're going to assume there will be a growth rate. Okay, growth rate ni kita guna simbol G. Okay, growth rate. So maknanya kalau dividen sekarang dapat RM1, so dividen tahun depan dia akan naiklah RM1 by katakanlah 10%. So dia akan jadi RM1.10. So dia naik 10%. So and this 10% growth rate ni kita akan assume akan kekal selama-lamanya lah. Alright, that's the model that we use. So dividend ataupun growth model ni akan kekal pada satu rate. So maknanya kalau tahun seterusnya lagi RM1.10 ni akan naik lagi 10%. So tahun kedua daripada RM1 naik RM1.10, and then tahun kedua dia akan naik ke RM1.21. So dia akan naik lah every single year at a constant growth rate. Okay, and because of that, okay, KCS ni boleh ditulis formula dia sebagai D1 bahagi market price tolak flotation cost plus dengan the growth rate. So ni base formula dia. Okay, D1 bahagi market price tolak flotation cost plus the growth rate. So apa benda pula yang kat bawah ni? Okay, kat atas ni D1, kenapa ni D kosong? Kan? So I will explain to you the difference between D0, D0 ni, D kosong ni dengan D1. So apa beza dia? So D0 ni sebenarnya adalah current dividend. Okay, current dividend ataupun recently paid dividend. Okay, recently paid dividend. Okay, kalau D1 ni pula adalah next dividend ataupun expected dividend. Okay, so what does it mean? It all depends on question. Ada soalan akan bagi current dividend, ada soalan akan bagi next dividend. So apa beza D0 dengan D1 ni? Is either the payment of dividend tu sudah dibuat, paid, ataupun belum dibuat, which is expected to be paid. Okay, so dia tak semestinya dua perkataan ni je lah. Dia can be anything yang akan associate dengan dividen yang sudah dibayar, which is D0, or yang belum dibayar, which is D1. Okay, sebab D0 tu adalah dividen semasa, D1 tu adalah dividen tahun depannya ataupun the next year, the following year, ataupun the expected dividend. So that's why formula asal dia sebenarnya D1. Right. So kalau soalan memang bagi the expected dividend, kita guna je lah D1, which is katakanlah dividen akan dibayar tahun depan 60 sen contohlah. So kita ambil terus 60 sen bahagi dengan market price tolak flotation cost, then we add with G. Okay, but the thing is some question dia bagi current dividend. So if it's current dividend, nak dapat D1, kita kena multiply dengan 1 plus G. So that's why D kosong dan 1 plus G tu yang ni sebenarnya. Okay, so D1 is actually D kosong darab 1 plus G. Inilah, so ni sebenarnya is D1. D1 equals to D0 darab dengan 1 plus G. So kalau soalan bagi D kosong ataupun D0 ni tadi, okay, you have to multiply this dengan 1 plus G in order to get the D1. Okay, so macam imagine ni lah, kalau dia bagi RM1, D kosong, D0, so in order to find D1, kita kena darab dengan 1 plus G to get 1.1. Then 1.1 ni barulah kita guna as our D1 lah. Okay, so the keyword untuk common stock ni, to identify the dividend tu, dividend terkini ataupun dividend yang akan datang. That's it. Sebab yang lain tu agak straightforward. Okay, market price, flotation cost ni semua straightforward. Okay, so KRE ni kita tak payah tengok. Kita just tengok the KCS saja. Kita tengok yang ni je. Right? So, another example, katakanlah this is the third option. Kita dah ada debt tadi. Kita dah ada preferred. Now kita tengok dekat common stocks pula. So this new common stock will incur cost of 5%. So this is the flotation cost. So 5%. And untuk common stock ni dia tak ada par value yang standard. So therefore dia always kena refer dengan price dia. Market price. So market price RM5. So 5% darab dengan RM5 lah. So 5% of RM5 is 25 cents. Okay, 25 cents. And then dia bagi tahu recently paid. Okay, so the keyword yang diguna untuk soalan ni adalah recently paid. So recently paid bermaksud 20 sen ni adalah di kosong dia. Okay, di not dia is 20 cents with the 10% growth rate. So this is our G. And this is our market price lah, RM5. Okay, so the rest tu is for KRE, kita tak payah kira. So to find the KCS, the D0 is 20 cents. Kita kena darab ni dengan 1 plus G, 1.1. This is our D1. Okay, D1 kita adalah 20 sen darab dengan 1 plus 10%. Okay, market price RM5. And the flotation cost is 25 cents. Okay, don't forget to put the bracket. And then kita tambah dengan G. G kita 10%. Okay, so 20 cent naik by 10%, it become 22 cents. So 22 cents bahagi dengan 4.75. 4.75 plus 1, it become 14.63%. Okay, 14.63%. So again, to recap, kita ada KD tadi, 8.35 ataupun 8.21. Kita ada KPS, 10.75. And then kita ada KCS, 14.63. Okay, so bila kita compare all three, kita nampak the debt ni is the highest, the lowest rate. Okay, the lowest rate. So bila dia the lowest rate, that is the best option lah. So maknanya kalau soalan suruh pilih, okay, after calculate all the alternatives, which one is the best? Okay, which one is the best? So dalam case ni, the best would be bonds lah, sebab bonds offers the cheapest rate. Okay, bond offers the cheapest rate, 8.21%. Right. So kita cuba tengok satu soalan lah. Past year question. This is December 2018. So ada kat question number 4 ni. Question number 4. Boboy Corporation has decided to expand its business and it requires RM5 million. So there are three options. Ada common stock, ada bonds, ada preferred. So first question, compute the cost of capital for each source. So memang ada 3 source sahaja. So kita calculate lah ketiga-tiganya. And then justify the best alternative. Okay, kena pilih lah alternatif mana yang paling bagus untuk Boboy Corporation ni with additional of 2 marks. So how to solve? Okay, first kita tengok option yang pertama. Dia petang-petang ni dia dah slow komputer ni. Nak tulis pun dah tak elok ni. Macam habis ink pula. Common stocks So to find the KCS. Okay, so remember it depends on either the dividend tu is recently paid ataupun the next dividend. Kalau tadi example dia bagi recently paid, so that's our D0 dikosong kan. So untuk soalan ni, you tengok the firm is expected to pay. Okay, you use the word expected to pay dividend. So 350 ni is bukan D0 but this is our D1. So 350 is our D1. So kita tak perlu darab dengan 1 plus D anymore lah. So that's our D1 already. Okay. And then the market price is 67 ringgit. 67 is the market price. Untuk soalan ni, there will be no flotation cost. Sebab dia tak bagi flotation cost, we assume flotation cost dia kosong lah. And then we plus dengan growth rate. Growth rate dia 7%, 0.07. So 3.5 divided by 67 plus 0.07, 7%. So it's 12.22%. Okay, so untuk common stock, the cost of common stock itself is 12.22%. Okay, next kita tengok bonds pula. Okay, as always, bonds ni selalunya panjang sikit step dia. Step pertama is to find the yield to maturity. The issue debt with the selling price of 109% of its face value. So maknanya harga dia lagi mahal, premium than 1000. That will be our proceed. 109% darab 1000, which is 1090. Mature in 12 years, so that's our end, 12 tahun, with the coupon of 7.5%. And then tax rate. So again, tak ada flotation cost kat dalam ni ataupun insurance cost. So 7.5% darab 1000, RM75, plus par value is 1000, and our proceed is 1090. Okay, why 1090? Sebab 109% darab 1000 is our selling price. Okay, selling price dia 1090, tapi tak ada flotation cost, so maknanya kita punya proceed is 1090 tolak kosong, which is 1090 lah. Okay, so this is the amount that we're going to receive, 1090. And then kita akan divide dengan 12 sebab dia akan mature in 12 years time. Then divide everything, 1000 plus 1090 divide by
So nak tanya jawapan untuk common stock apa ya?
12.22%.
12.22%.
Sini sikit 12.22%. So untuk bond ni pula, the yield to maturity would be 1000 minus 1090 divided by 12 plus 75 and divide by 2090 divided by 2. So it becomes 6.46%. Okay, 6.46%. Siapa yang guna calculator, kalau guna compound function, so N 12 tahun, I%, kita akan solve sekejap lagi. Dia ada present ni. Kita tulis siap-siap lah, 12%. So then kita ada present value. Present value dia 1090 negative. And then dia ada AMT. Okay, ni dia PMT. PMT dia 75. And then dia ada future value. Future value dia 1000 lah. Okay, the pen ni dah tak works very well lah. Sorry lah. So untuk ni, the I percentage dia akan dapat 6.40%. Okay, dia lari 0.06 sahaja from the original ataupun from the YTM. So untuk cari di KD is 6.46. Darat 1 minus tax. The tax rate is 35%. .46 darat 0.65. So it become 4.2. So kalau you gunakan financial calculator, your KD would be 6.4 darat dengan 1 minus 0.35. Dapat 4.16. So generally it's 4.2 juga lah sebenarnya. So very close, whether you use financial calculator or you use the YTM in your formula. Okay, so that's one. Muat kat tempat ni, kat bawah ni. So untuk last, untuk preferred stocks. Okay, preferred stock ni simple je. They issue RM100, so this is the par value, 11% dividend. Selling price 97. And soalan ni ada flotation cost 5% and 5% of market price. Okay, kalau example dalam notes tadi, the flotation cost always based on the par value. Tapi untuk soalan ni dia 5% off the market price. So what's going to happen? So kita punya KPS ni, dividend dia RM11. How I get RM11 is 11% darab 100 is RM11. Market price 97. So the 5% is 5% of 97 lah. Then we get the flotation cost. So 11 bahagi dengan 97 darab dengan 5%. Okay, so it become 11.94%. Okay, so that's our cost yang ketiga lah for the preferred stock. So individually, the computation kita dapat 12.22, 4.2%, and 11.94%. Okay, so the next question tanya justify the best alternative. So the best alternative would be bonds. Okay, why bonds? Kita akan jawab lah. The best alternative for Boboi Corporation is bonds because it offers the lowest rate. Sebab rate yang paling yang diberi adalah rate yang paling rendah sekali. Okay, so that's how we solve question December 2018. Okay, December 2018, question number 4A. Okay, ini example dia kalau soalan suruh find the best alternative ataupun choose one out of 3 options. Okay, so coming back to my notes tadi, there are some cases company mungkin akan kata, okay, I don't want to choose one, I want to choose all. I want to choose all. So apa maksud dia? Kita kena cari purata cost of capital kalau company akan pilih ketiga-tiga options. Okay, all 3 options. So meaning we have bonds tadi, we have preferred, and we have the common stocks. Okay, and then we have the individual rates. Kalau you ingat tadi bond is 8.35, preferred 10.75, and then common stocks 14.63. Okay, so ada 3 rates. Okay, kalau ikut konsep tadi, we choose the best one, pilih yang paling rendah. Okay, tapi company boleh decide untuk, okay, I don't want to choose one, I want all three. So meaning if I want to raise fund untuk nilai, sesuatu nilai lah, katakanlah 1 million, if I want to raise 1 million ringgit, so just instead of I choose bond untuk 1 juta ni, so I akan pecahkan 1 million ni kepada 3. Maksudnya kat sini, daripada 1 juta ni, 300,000 I guna bond, 300,000 I guna preferred, 400,000 I guna common stock. So maknanya total still I akan dapat 1 million, tapi instead of 1 million guna bond, I pecahkan. And how I pecahkan ni is based on what we call as the capital structure. Okay, so capital structure tu adalah kita akan tengok the current structure of the company, capital structure ni, and then kita akan multiply the capital structure ni dengan the each capital cost untuk setiap satu tu. So contoh currently the bond ada 30 juta. Dalam company tu dia ada 30 juta worth of bonds, dia ada 30 juta preferred stocks, and then dia ada 40 juta common stocks. So total capital dia ada 100 juta contoh lah, just for the sake of illustration. So daripada total 100 juta ni, kalau kita nak convert into weights ataupun percentage, so 30 divided by 100, this is 30%. 30 divided by total 100, this is another 30%. 40 times 100, ataupun bukan times 40 divided by 100, this 40%. So total 100 lah. So this is the capital structure, 30, 30, 40. So meaning kalau 30% daripada 1 juta, 30% times 1 million, 300,000 lah. 300,000, 30% times 1 million is 300,000. 40% times 1 million is 400,000. So instead of as I said, 1 million tu didominate oleh satu sahaja sumber, dia pecahkan kepada 3 and kita akan ambil ketiga-tiga ni. So maknanya semua cost ni relevant to us. So soalan is, what is the average? So average tak boleh lah ambil 8.35 tambah 0.75 tambah 14.63 bahagi 3. It's not a simple average. It is based on a weighted average. Okay? Ataupun kita panggil dia sebagai WACC, WACC ni. So in order to find the average, okay, kita kena totalkan the sum of the percentage yang ada tulis kat sini, 33, 40 ni, setiap satu tu darab dengan the respective cost of capital 835, 1075 dengan 14.63. Okay, so multiply setiap satu tu, dapatkan the value dia and then we total up. And it will look something like this. Okay, 30, 30, 40 with 8.35, 10.75 and 14.63. Kita darab setiap satu tu respectively, and then don't forget to plus the plus setiap satu tu, and the average that we're going to get is about 11.58%. So what does it mean? So the ending of the question untuk setiap satu tu dia akan suruh kita calculate satu-satu. So ending dia boleh sama ada please choose the best financing. Okay, macam soalan dalam exam tadi, kita pilih satu bond sebab dia paling murah. Or dia boleh end the question dengan kata, okay, if the company wants to keep the optimal capital structure, what would be the WACC? Then this is the ending you kena buat lah kalau disuruh buat WACC. Okay, so those are the two ending of a question lah. Okay, yang you kena tengok. Right, so with that, we end topic number 9. Kita tak break lagi tadi so kita take a short break sebelum kita masuk dengan topik number 10 sekejap. Okay, number 10 tu I try to simplify je lah aku before we proceed dengan bukan proceed lah, sebelum kita habiskan session hari ni. Okay, so we take a break kejap. Right. Let's proceed. Last one. Okay, ni tadi dah sudah tutup dah. Okay, the final topic for the day is the mathematics of finance ataupun the concept of time value of money. So, I just nak simplify je benda ni, mathematics of finance. So, mathematics of finance ni adalah the concept of time value of money whereby the value of money today is not the same as the money in the future. Sebab duit yang kita ada hari ni boleh di-invest and grow and will give us more value in the future. Okay, so dalam mathematics of finance, there are two broad categories. Kita ada present value dan kita ada future value. So, I nak bagi simplest explanation. Dalam present value, dia adalah concept of discounting. So, maksudnya, present value adalah nilai hari ini, future value adalah nilai akan datang. So, present dengan future value ni dia reverse. So, meaning kalau sekarang kita letak tahun kosong, katakanlah in the future, tahun ketiga. Okay. So, to find the present value, technically, is you know the future value and kita nak cari berapa nilai future value tu pada hari ini. Okay, so this concept dipanggil discounting. Okay, and then satu lagi konsep adalah we know the present value and we want to know berapa nilai present value ni pada masa akan datang. Okay, ni konsep dipanggil compounding. Right. Untuk time value of money, ada dua komponen yang penting. We need to know the K and we need to know the N. So what is K? K ni adalah the interest rate. And we need to know the N. N ni adalah the time. So when we know the K dengan N, automatically we can solve any time value of money questions. Right? So in order to assist us untuk cari value either present ataupun future value, right? The nature of the formula ataupun sebelum sampai formula lah, dia ada dua cara nak guna. Satu, kita gunakan formula yang kita perlu rely on a time value of money punya table. Satu lagi cara adalah again menggunakan financial calculator. Right? Menggunakan financial calculator. So, kalau kita kena guna time value money of table, kita kena faham dia ada 6 jenis. Okay, there are 6 different time value of money. Okay, I pecahkan tulis dalam satu slide ni je lah kot nak simplifykan everything. So dia ada present dengan future kan. So I start dengan future value dulu. Future value kat sini. Then we have the present value. So ataupun I tulis dekat blank spot kat sini lah boleh tak tulis saya. Sekejap. So this is a blank spot we have the future kita ada future value, kita ada present value kat sini. So first kita ada single payment. Single payment bermaksud transaction tu berlaku sekali. Okay, so for future value, nak cari the future value based on single payment, formula yang kita guna pakai adalah future value equals to amount. And this amount can be anything. It can be deposits, it can be borrowings, it can be amount of investment received. So apa-apa je lah yang menunjukkan amount yang kita nak kira tu. darab dengan FVIF, KNN. Okay, this is the way we write formula untuk cari future value. Kalau untuk present value pula, see the resemblance among the two formula dia. Dia punya positioning sama sahaja. Okay, the only difference is the one in the bracket. So FV equals to amount darab dengan FVIF KN. Kalau present value is amount darab dengan PVIF KN. So remember tadi apa? K is the rate of interest, N tu adalah the time. Okay. So this is the broad category of future value dengan present value. So selain daripada single payment, transaction boleh berlaku in multiple cash flows. Dia berlaku lebih daripada sekali. Kalau single payment ni, transaction tu berlaku sekali je. I deposit RM1,000 hari ni. Okay, so therefore, I can calculate this RM1,000 worth in 3 years from now. Okay, with the K rate of return. Tapi ada juga jenis payment yang berlaku lebih daripada sekali. Okay, hari ni RM1,000, tahun depan RM3,000. Okay, itu adalah dipanggil sebagai multiple payment ataupun multiple cash flow. So kalau multiple cash flow dengan nilai yang berbeza, kita kena calculate based on single payment but two different cash flows. Okay, tapi dia ada multiple payment yang berlaku dalam bentuk annuity. Annuity ni adalah payment yang sama setiap intervals tu. So example untuk annuity ni selalunya contoh macam kita ambil car loan, kita bayar, okay, our car loan is RM1,000 per month. So that 1,000 is an annuity. Ataupun kita bayar insurance premium RM800 sebulan. So 800 per month is an annuity. Okay, and annuity ni boleh dipecahkan kepada dua. Is ordinary annuity and annuity due. So what's the difference? Ordinary annuity dia akan berlaku at the end of the at the end of the interval. Due ni berlaku at the beginning of the interval. So what's the implication? Dia akan implicate to our formula. Again, so untuk ordinary future value, kita akan letak A dekat ujung ni menggambarkan di annuity. So it's amount darab dengan FVIFA KNN. Okay, but if it's due, dia akan future value annuity juga, tapi I tambah D kat sini nak menunjukkan dia annuity due. And you see the formula dia. Again, resemblance sama je. Tapi dia ada pertambahan 1 plus K dekat ujung. Right, so what's the difference? Like I said, in general case, kebanyakannya memang kita akan gunakan yang ordinary annuity lah. Kita akan assume dia akan berlangsung, dia punya compounding dekat N. So therefore formula dia sama je macam yang the rest. Cuma kalau dia happen at the beginning, okay, so look for keywords lah. Dia akan kata the compound happens at the beginning, it happens at the early of the year, it happens now. So menunjukkan semua bermula di depan. So kita kena tambah 1 plus K dekat belakang ni. Again, K ni adalah the rate of return ataupun interest. So 1 plus K, maknanya kalau dia 10% is 1 plus 10%, which is 1.1 contohnya lah. Okay, so kalau PV sama jugalah. Okay, PVA, it's amount, PVIFA, KNN, and kalau due, PVAD, amount, PVIFA, KN, then 1 plus K dekat belakang. So these are the 6 formulas that you're going to use untuk menjawab soalan time value of money. Ini 6 ni je. And the ones in the bracket, okay, PVIFA, PVIF, FVIFA and FVIF adalah table yang you boleh refer dalam table macam ni. So table ni I ada share dalam in future, you can download. Okay, you can see ada 4 different tables. This is future value interest factor, or FVIF. So dia ada label kat sini, FVIF. Second, it's future value interest factor, annuity, which is FVIFA. And then the third one is present value interest factor, PVIF. Okay, and the fourth one is PVIFA, annuity. Yalah, PVIFA. Right, 4 ni sahaja. And I kena buka ni kot past year question. Okay, so dalam past year question, at the very end, setiap past year question, tak kira lah semester mana yang you buka, memang dia akan include these 4 tables. Okay, so ni contoh untuk soalan December 2018 tadi lah. So we have the FVIF, future value interest factor, FVIF, future value interest factor annuity, FVIFA, PVIF, present value interest factor, and the fourth one, present value interest factor, annuity, PVIFA. So we have 4 different tables and 6 different options lah, bergantung kepada soalan macam mana kita nak solve. Right. So coming back to this scenario okay, kalau nak go through slide tadi panjang makan masa. So I just give you some illustration. Okay, untuk formula dah dekat sini ada tunjuk. So kita try tengok example, some example lah, bukan semua So contohnya this is soalan future value. Soalan suruh cari future value year 3. So bila nak menjawab soalan, you kena tahu soalan tu menjurus kepada future value ke present value, and secondly, adakah payment tu sekali ataupun berlaku banyak kali. Okay, so untuk contoh soalan ni assume you deposit RM1,000 today. And this 1,000, kalau ikut soalan ni, this is a single payment. Dia berlaku sekali je. Alright, so kita tahu dia single payment. And at the end, dia kata, what will you have at the end of year 3? Ataupun what will be the future value at the end of year 3? So, they're very specific. Dia suruh cari future value. Okay, and this is a single payment, bukan annuity. So, bila nak cari future value, kita tahulah formula dia is FV, amount, FVIF, KN. Okay, so what we need to do, we have to identify berapa amount yang dia deposit. So, amount deposit dia 1,000. So, we write FVIF then. The K rate of return dia ataupun rate of interest dia 10%. So, we put it here 10%. And the N how long? 3 years. Okay, so we're going to put 3 years kat sini. So, how to solve this? So, FVIF is the table and our point of references adalah 10% and year 3. Okay, so pergi dekat table FVIF sebab kita punya bracket tadi is FVIF and the rate that we're going to look at is 10%. So, cara baca dia okay, cara dia hang pula ni Tapi boleh nampak lah kot So, the horizontal one, horizontal ni adalah the rate of interest. Yang atas ni, horizontal. And yang vertical ni adalah the period ataupun the time. So, our point of reference tadi adalah 10%. Okay, 10%, 3 years. So, 10% 3 years adalah 1.3310. Okay, 1.3310. Boleh okay kat sini. Okay, tak boleh, I boleh. Yang ni 1.3310. Okay, so I akan letak kat sini 1.3310 and ambil RM1,000 is my amount of deposit. So 1,000 darab dengan 13310 is it be 1331. And this is the amount that I'm going to have in my account after 3 years. Bila I deposit RM1,000 today, single payment. Okay, so we get lah future value 1331. Okay, so I just randomly pilih soalan lah. Kalau present value, dia reverse. Okay, I ambil satu lagi contoh ordinary ataupun annuity lah, annuity. So ni contoh annuity. Sama je soalan dia. Okay, annuity. So ada annuity menunjukkan payment of RM500 every year for 3 years. Okay, so ordinary, remember, dia happen at the end, kat ujung. Kalau dia annuity due, this RM500 dia akan start dekat sini. Okay, dia akan start dekat sini. Macam contohnya, dia start dekat sini lah, dekat mula. So, how to solve the question? So, soalan ni, suruh cari future value. And looking at the numbers yang consistent setiap tahun ni, we know this is annuity. So, this is annuity. So, future value annuity and happen at the end is FVA lah. So, FVA darab dengan amount, darab dengan FVIFA KN. So, the amount is RM500. So, FVIFA dia. The K is 7%. And the N is 3 years. Okay, and remember, kita nak tengok FVIFA. So, 500 darab dengan apa? So, FVIFA, so this is FVIF. So, make sure you refer to the correct table. So, this is FVIFA. So, FVIFA, 7%, 3 years. Okay, 7% 3 years adalah 3.2149. This is our interest factor. So 500 darab dengan 3.2149. So it become 1607.45. Okay, so that is our future value based on this annuity. So maknanya dibayar 500 setiap tahun untuk 3 tahun. So at the end of year 3, the total combined value is 1607.45. Okay, inilah. But kalau dia annuity due with the same RM500, with the same 7%, with the same N, okay, nampak dia punya payment sama 500, dia punya K is 7%, dia punya apa? Dia punya N pun 3 years. So technically is the same like this. But since this is due, D, so 500 ni kita darab dengan 3.2149 kan? Kita darab dengan 3.2149. Cuma kita kena tambah extension of 1 plus K. So the K is 7%, so darab dengan 1.07 kat belakang ni. So if we extend with 1.07 at the back, we have 1719.97. Okay, so this is for annuity due. Bila dia punya compound tu berlaku di depan. And because of that, dia ada satu extension of compounding more as compared to ordinary lah. Okay. So yeah, so that's how we measure annuity due. Okay, so sama juga kalau nak kira present value present value. Okay, so the last concept I nak explain is the adjustment. Right, so there are some cases we have to make adjustments. Okay, kenapa kita kena adjust? Sebab compounding period dia happen more than one time. Okay, what does it mean more than one time? So kalau benda tu berlaku annually, it happens once in a year. Tapi kalau dia berlaku semi-annually, dia akan berlaku berapa kali setahun. So dia akan berlaku 2 kali setahun. So the compounding numbers kita letak dia sebagai label M. So kalau semi-annually, M dia equals to 2. Okay, kalau quarterly, the compounding M dia akan berlaku 4 kali setahun. And so on lah monthly berapa, daily berapa, depending on the M lah. Right, so because of that, we have to make adjustment for the K and for the N. Okay, dua important figures tadi, kita kena buat adjustment. Yeah. So we have to make adjustment. So the adjustment akan jadi with the K ni, kita kena divide dia by M. So meaning, contoh kat sini letak 10%. Kalau mudah tadi, kalau kat page sebelah tu dia guna 12%. 12% dengan 2. So this is K, 12%, and this is N for 2 years. So kalau dia annually, kita bagi 1, kita darab 1, dia akan kekal pada 12 dan 2 lah. But what happen kalau dia semi-annually? So it will occur twice in a year. Twice in a year. So maknanya, kalau rate kita 12%, takkan setiap kali dia bayar tu, dia bayar kita 12%. So the 12% ni kena dipecahkan 2 kali sebab dia akan bayar 2 kali kan. So the 12% kita akan divide by 2 and it become 6%. And how about the compounding? Kalau sebelum ni setahun dia akan compound 2 kali. Now dalam tempoh 2 tahun dia akan compound 4 kali. Okay, so this 12 and 2 versus 6 and 4 ada beza tak? Yes, ada beza. How? If we look at this example. Okay, kita ambil yang mudah lah. Kita tengok FVIF je. Okay, so tadi originally kita punya 12 dengan 2 is this much. Okay, kalau original annually 12% and 2, our compound interest adalah 1.2544. Okay, tapi kalau dia berlaku semi-annually, the 12% will divide by 2, become 6%, and then the N yang 2 ni tadi akan multiply by 2, it becomes 4. So now the interest factor akan jadi 1.2625. Okay, naik daripada 2544 ke 2625. So imagine kalau di compound quarterly pula. So 12% divide by 4 is 3%, and 3% 2 darab 4, 8. So dia akan compound so here. Okay, notice value dia daripada 2544, 2625, 2668. Okay, apakah lagi kalau dia jadi apa, monthly kan? So dia akan jadi compound lagi besar value dia. So this shows that the more you compound, the bigger the value. Okay, and then you have to make adjustment accordingly lah. Okay, accordingly. Right. So this is the summary of the one that we discussed so far lah tadi. 12% dengan 2. So kalau di semi-annually, dia become 6% and 4. Kalau quarterly is 3% and 8. And kalau monthly, 1% and 24. Okay, contoh lah. So in short, when we have to try to do untuk apa nama benda ni? Time value of money. First rule, tengok soalan. Soalan tu menunjukkan adakah dia single payment ataupun annuity. Right. Next, lepas dah tahu single payment ataupun annuity, look patutnya tengok present value ataupun future value dulu. Next baru tengok single payment ataupun annuity. And bila dah tahu dia annuity, baru kita finally define adakah dia ordinary ataupun annuity due. Okay, sebab apa? Remember, at the end of the day, time value money ni dia ada 6 ni je. Okay, dia akan pecah kepada 6 ni saja. Single payment, future value, present value, ataupun dia annuity, dia pecah ordinary ataupun due with FVA, PVA, FVAD, PVAD. Cuma just nak highlight satu benda sebelum kita lupa. Tak semestinya all the time disuruh cari future value ataupun present value. Soalan boleh suruh cari the amount. Soalan boleh suruh cari K, or can ask us to find the N. Okay, so mana-mana yang dia blank kan, ataupun dia bagi you tak unknown information, dia akan completekan dengan information yang lain lah. So contohnya macam exercises ni so maybe kita boleh tengok a few sample lah. Mungkin the first 2 question ni kita try buat nak tunjuk you how we solve the time value of many question. So the first question, Encik Nizam contributes RM1,500 per year. Okay, so the keyword adalah per year. So this per year represent annuity, sebab dia berlaku lebih daripada sekali. Payment dia RM1,500, dan RM1,500 ni sama je setiap tahun. So that's already indicates annuity. Okay, and then the N adalah 20 tahun. So this is the N. So if the bank pays interest of 10%, so this is our K. So kita dah ada K, kita dah ada N. How much money will be saved? So again, kita dah tahu dia annuity. Kita boleh check, tak ada indicators of beginning ataupun now. So therefore, kita akan assume this is ordinary annuity. Right? So soalan tanya how much money will be saved. So will be saved tu menunjukkan future value. Okay, future value. So future value and annuity. So technically this is future value annuity lah. And this is ordinary annuity. So kita akan guna formula ni. FIFA, KNN. So amount is the amount of deposit, which is 1,500. FIFA. The K is 10%. And N dia 20 years. Okay, 10%, 20 years. Right? So 1,500 darab dengan, we go back, kita undo Okay. Kita refer to the table. Okay, table yang ni pula. Kita tengok to FVIFA. So FVIFA berapa persen tadi? Lupa lah. 10%, 20 years. So FVIFA 10%, 20 years. It will be this one. This one. 57.275. 10%, 20 years. 57.275. Okay, so after we determine this, $1,500 times dengan 57.275, so it becomes 85,912.50. So meaning in 20 years time, Encik Nizam kalau dia contribute 1,500 every year, okay, at the end of year 20, dia akan ada RM85,920.50 dalam account dia. So that is how much money that he will save after 20 years. Bila dia consistently put in 1,500 setiap tahun. Okay, and again assumption dia 1,500 ni dia tak withdraw, and the amount of interest ataupun dividen yang dia terima setiap tahun tu akan kekal dalam tu. Okay, so that's question number 1. Untuk question number 2 pula, okay, ditulis you borrowed 193,456.80 from a bank to buy a house. Installment payment is 24,000 again per year. So again 24,000 setahun ni menggambarkan annuity. Okay, for the next 15 years. So this is our N lah, 15 tahun. Okay, so question asks, what is the interest rate? So the K tu unknown. So untuk soalan ni, dia bukan suruh cari future ataupun present value. Dia suruh cari K. So K tu yang dalam bracket ni. But first we need to know, amount given adalah present value ataupun future value. Okay, so you borrowed 193,000 and then this is the amount of installment, 24,000 and the N. So K tak tahu. So amount 153 ni represent apa? Okay, so the keyword adalah ni. Dia borrow, dia pinjam. So technically this is our present value. This is our present value. And since this is annuity, this is present value annuity lah. Present value annuity. Okay. So ada tak indication yang menunjukkan dia annuity due? Okay, so dalam soalan ni tak ada. There's no word beginning, now, immediately, tak ada. So we're going to assume this would be the normal ataupun the ordinary annuity. So kita akan guna formula PVA lah. PVA, amount of installment dalam case ni, PVIFA, K and N. Right, so yang tak tahu adalah K. So PVA ni kita tahulah, PVA is 193,456, 80 cents. Amount of installment 24,000. PVIFA, K is unknown but N is 15 years. Okay, so the ones in the bracket adalah reference from the table. So nak solve next, kita bawa PVIFA K50 ni to the left. So yang ni bahagi dengan 24,000 lah. So it's PVIFA K and 15 years. So 193,45680 ni bahagi dengan 24,000. Okay, this one divide by 24,000, you get 8.0607. Okay, 8.0607. And what you need to do next is to look dalam table. Refer table. Ada tak rate yang dekat dengan 8.0607 ni? Sebab kita nak cari the rate, the K. We know the N is 15. And the table yang kita akan tengok is PVIFA. Okay, we're going to refer to PVIFA table. So, we look at the right table, PVIFA. Okay, so this is PVIFA. Kita tak tahu dia punya K, but we know the N is 15. So, N is 15 and cari rates dekat dengan 8.0607. And kebetulan, 8.0607 tu ada dekat sini. Exactly here. So, N15, 8.0607. So, technically, our K is 9%. Okay, the K is 9%. So the K equals to 9%. So how I know 9%? It's based on the table lah. Refer to the table, 8.0607. So is there any difference kalau I guna financial calculator? So again, kalau I nak guna financial calculator, I'm going to use the compound function untuk soalan nombor 2 ni. So the N, I'm going to put 15%. The I biar kosong sebab I don't know. The present value adalah 193,456.80 cent. The payment, PMT adalah 24,000. And the MV, I biarkan dia kosong. So when I solve the I percentage, okay, so you give me 9% return. Okay, sama je jawapan dia lah. it will give us 9% return. So that's how we solve time value of money question. Cuma kalau kita nak buka pasti question, tak banyak soalan exactly pasal time value of money. Tapi this concept of time value of money will be used a lot masa kita buat topik yang last nanti. So that's why I need to teach you this first before we go into details the capital budgeting. Sebab ada portion dalam capital budgeting tu akan menggunakan pakai konsep time value of money. Alright. So ada lagi soalan lain, nanti you can try lah yourself. The rest is quite straightforward lah. So with that, I think itu sahaja I nak explain for today. So we left with one more topic to go. So topik yang terakhir itu we gonna discuss in detail lah nanti masa seminar yang ke-7. Right, ada a few information lah nak explain ataupun nak beritahu. I just realised that untuk group assignment tu, I lupa nak post dia punya thread tu ataupun dia punya tapak untuk you all hantar. So, I akan create dia punya space for you to upload your group assignment tu dekat dalam future. So maybe I akan buat kejap lagi. So because of that, I will extend a bit lah submission tu. Okay, tak lama I akan extend 2 hari extra saja. So you're gonna have until the 6th of Jan untuk hantar. So please check your future nanti and then upload accordingly lah. So dalam group assignment tu nanti I hantar seorang je hantar I rasa untuk on behalf of the team member. Cuma you kena create your group member lah kat dalam tu and then submit satu dokumen ataupun satu file on behalf of the group member. Okay, so nanti check lah dalam future. And like I said, kita tinggal satu lagi meeting untuk discuss the final topic sebelum kita akan wrap up kita punya semester dengan kita punya second ataupun final assessment masa 18 hari bulan Jan nanti. Okay, so that's it. Thank you very much. And insyaAllah see you guys on Saturday. Seminar ke-7 kita adalah hari Sabtu 17 hari bulan. Right, thank you and Assalamualaikum.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, welcome.
Salam.
Thank you, sir.